Those Winter Sundays by Robert Hayden. Sundays too, my father got up early and put his clothes on in the blue-black cold. Then, with cracked hands that ached from labor in the weekday weather, made banked fires blaze. No one ever thanked him. I'd wake up and hear the cold splintering breaking. When the rooms were warm, he'd call, and slowly I would arise and dress, fearing the chronic angers of that house. Speaking indifferently to him, who had driven out the cold, and polished my good shoes as well. What did I know? What did I know of love's austere and lonely offices? Um, I think the reason that I like this poem is that it's a good sort of explanation or story for the idea of like love languages and the idea that different people express their care for others in different ways. The idea of a love language came from The Five Love Languages, a book by Gary Chapman, which I haven't read. It kind of sounds like one of those more scam-like self-help books, personally. But I think the idea is interesting that uh, that different people just express their care in different ways, and that this father didn't seem like he was always in the best mood, and he always, was able to make his kids laugh or anything. But he expressed his care by through his personal sacrifice, through the hard labor he did throughout the week, and the fact that even on Sunday he would wake up early in the cold, he would go do the fire, and as the poem says, he would when the rooms were warm, he'd call, and he cared that his family woke up to warm rooms and woke up to comfort. Um, but the son doesn't see that that side of him. The son only sees the anger and the bad attitude. Um, and he's realizing this later. He realizes, what did I know? What did I know of love's austere and lonely offices? He notices that um, this was love, but he just couldn't see it because he wasn't speaking the same language. Um, I think that I also like how this story relates to Powder by Tobias Wolff. I think that the father in that story is also not good. And in certain ways, he didn't seem like a very responsible father, and that's a sort of a care too. That this father, they're sort of the opposites. The father in Powder by Tobias Wolff would probably be the type to be able to pick up with a really good mood, but he probably wouldn't be the type to make the sacrifices and put in the work every day to keep their family comfortable. But the difference between those two stories is that in Powder, the son saw that, and that was the language that the son spoke. That was the love language that the son spoke. He appreciated the fact that the father was so happy to show off how he could drive his car. But in those Winter Sundays, the son just doesn't, or the family just doesn't see, it just isn't on that same wavelength of understanding that's how he cares about them, or at least at the time. I personally like how this resonates. I sort of feel this way. Honestly, sometimes, keep it down a little bit so my family doesn't hear. Sometimes during the holiday season, because Christmas comes and my birthday comes soon after, and it's all gift giving and stuff, and I really, am not a fan of the gift giving stuff. I don't love receiving gifts too much because usually when I receive a gift, it's more about me trying to be as happy as possible to make them feel happy, and then it's me calculating in my head how much money they spent, so I know how much like of a burden that was. It's really not something that I enjoy as much, but I just have to understand that that is how they express their care, and that their willingness to go through that anyway should be enough, and that's how I go through it. I really like this poem.